The next story I wanted to talk about is about a woman named Lauren Witzke. I would forgive you if you'd never heard of her, but let me tell you a little bit about who she is. She was a host on the True News podcast or TV show or whatever. I think they're on TV, True News is, with Rick Wiles. She was a host on Rick Wiles' TV show. This is who Rick Wiles is, if you don't remember.
You know what they're doing here in Florida? The governor wants a bill passed in Florida to empower citizens to looters and rioters. Yes, sir. Get it done, Governor. The people are with you. We're going to defend this state of Florida. We're not going to put up with this stuff anymore. The left, you better pack up and flee. You better, if you're part of this communist revolution, lefties, you better get out of the country. If we find out you're a part of the communist revolution, we're coming after you. All right? I don't care. FBI, put my name down on a list. Go ahead and do it. Do it. I don't care.
Dude is a deranged wingnut. That's not an insult. That's just a description of his perspective on the world and how we should be dealing with him, which is to say we should be very careful because I think his connection to reality is very tenuous, seriously. So that's where she got famous, basically, was with True News. Now, as far as I can remember, I don't believe she's on True News anymore. I think she's a former True News host. But she's been making the rounds. She got on InfoWars and all of the other shows, and she's been using her fame. She ran for Congress, as a matter of fact, in Delaware, I believe. And things started to get weird when she ran for Congress. Real weird. This is an appearance she made on InfoWars early July 2021 with Alex Jones. Let's give this clip a watch and see what she had to say.
There is a war on Christians. They did this, they targeted me, and they made an example out of me.
Okay, so let me give you some context here. Financial blacklisting. Wells Fargo shuts down GOP Senate candidate Lauren Witzke's bank account. Is that true? I actually did some digging. I wanted to know for sure. She tells us Wells Fargo closed her account and didn't say why. Like, there's no explicit reason given. It could have been a number of things. Could have been anything. It could have been they thought that she was using it as a scam. It could have been used in fraud. Could have been any number of reasons why. But guess what she gravitates to as the reason? Her political beliefs, of course. She wants to turn this into a persecution thing. This is her tweet on the subject the day that it happened or shortly after. June 15th is when this tweet was sent. Wells Fargo has shut down my bank account, taking all of my money and leaving me with a zero balance. That's not how that works. They take your money and they write a check to you and they mail that check to you. They didn't take all of your money and leave you with a zero balance. They sent you a check in the mail. That's how banks do it. When I called Wells Fargo, they told me it was a business decision and that they have the right to close my account at any time. Okay, right there she's admitting they didn't tell her that it was any political reasoning or anything like that. Had I not been surrounded by friends in Florida, I would be completely stranded. Yeah, I mean, I guess Wells Fargo was kind of fucked up for closing your account like that with no warning or whatever. But that doesn't justify you blaming it on you being a conservative. There is no justification for you claiming that it was because you're a conservative and they don't like conservatives. Completely unfounded. Here's the final line of the tweet. Use this as a warning and get your money out of Wells Fargo if you're a conservative. This is so evil. Again, was not because she was a conservative. She didn't even claim that they said it was for that reason. And they certainly didn't claim that it was for that reason either, on their end. Anyways, let's keep listening.
Me, and they made an example out of me because I'm an outspoken Christian who vocally opposes the Equality Act. Listen, Alex, I don't know if you know much about it, but they're trying to illegalize Jesus Christ and the scripture and categorize it.
Absolutely, just like in Europe and Canada where they're arresting pastors. Tell folks about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what it will do is it will classify scripture belief in traditional marriage as hate speech, they can arrest that abortionist or that doctor or that nurse that chooses to take the biblical approach and change their lives.
It's obviously complete nonsense from beginning to end. It is just a persecution complex, nothing more. She's making up most of this. There are tiny grains of truth in some of the things that she's saying, but just barely. They're going to arrest a doctor for not performing a medical procedure? Like, what is she even talking about? It's all nonsense.
Children who struggle with gender identity, now that it's going to make them illegal for them to pursue therapy to change their mind.
Oh, is she talking about, like, conversion therapy being illegal and things like that? Yeah, it definitely should be, because it's not therapy. It's not based in science. It's nonsense, and it's harmful. And churches shouldn't have the right to hurt people like that. I don't give a shit if it's your religious belief. You can't hurt people. You know, we outlawed child sacrifice too. We outlaw religious practices that are directly harmful to people. That's just how it is. She wants to find some reason why she's being persecuted at any cost. This woman's specialty is the persecution complex. Kent Hovind's specialty is fear tactics and framing things as though they're religions. This person's specialty is the persecution complex. That's what it's all about for her.
It's basically the cult trying to make it illegal to leave the cult.
Yes.
What are they even talking about? They're giving us no information on this. They're just using this persecution complex to freak people out. They made this gigantic logical leap to this thing that they hate is a cult. No basis to believe that in any way. And then they're using the law to exacerbate this persecution complex, say that there's some law that's going to illegalize Christianity and force you to be a member of a cult. This is just nonsense from beginning to end. But it gets worse. Let's keep listening.
Exactly. And even just quoting scripture will be classified as hate speech.
Quoting scripture is going to be classified as hate speech? Give me a fucking break. This is the majority religion in the United States. They are in all the powerful positions in the U.S. I don't know of a single president that hasn't been openly Christian. Is there one? At least in the past 100 years? One president in the past 100 years that hasn't been openly Christian? Or claimed to be Christian at the very least? You have to claim to be Christian to win any Republican elections. Any. Now, there are a couple of examples of non-theistic or in some cases even Muslims winning a seat in Congress. I think Ilhan Omar, it may be Muslim, and I think we might have a single atheist in Congress, maybe. Maybe a Buddhist? But it is nearly impossible to win an election if you aren't a Christian, a hardline Christian, seriously. But no, they're the persecuted ones.
Is what it is going to do. It is going to make Christianity a crime on a federal level. We cannot allow this to go any further. We're going to lose everything. If we give our enemy an inch, he's going to take the whole thing. As you've seen, Alex, you've watched as this slow fade has happened, and we have allowed it to happen. And it's gotten to the point now where we're all going to end up in Kamala's gulags unless we all stand up together and fight back as Christians.
This is so unhinged. Like, I don't even know how do you even respond to something like this? Just before she put that out, she was on her True News channel, you know, the thing with Rick Wiles. She was a host on there. And she was talking about that whole thing where Marjorie Taylor Greene compared wearing masks to the Holocaust. You guys remember that shit? Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene originally said. This is from CNN Politics. Mid-May 2021 is when she said this. You know, we can look back at a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens. So much so that they were put in trains and taken in Nazi Germany, Greene said. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about. By telling people to wear masks or to get vaccinated, that's the kind of thing Nancy Pelosi was talking about. Well, that kind of backfired on Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, heavily. So she had to come out and apologize for it. This apology came out mid-June 2021. Check this out.
I wanted to say that I know that words that I've stated were hurtful and for that I am very sorry. There is no comparison to the Holocaust, and there never should be, and that's what I'm sorry for.
I'm honestly really surprised that Marjorie Taylor Greene apologized like that. Who has so much sway with this person that they could get her to come out and publicly apologize for something like that? I am honestly surprised by it. Well, Lauren Witzke, she wasn't exactly happy about Marjorie Taylor Greene's apology. She had some shit to say about it. This was immediately after the apology, basically, when this clip came out. Give this a watch.
She was right. Marjorie, lean in. Never apologize. That is my advice I would give her, because that was a hostage video, it looked like, didn't it? It was awkward. It was weird. I don't really think she meant it, because I wouldn't have meant it. You know,
Who came up to Marjorie Taylor Greene and said to her, "You need to apologize for this or else"? And what were they holding over her head? This is something she obviously believes. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene's been talking about how vaccines and mask wearing is like the Holocaust for who knows how fucking long. Since the start of the pandemic, she's been saying this shit. Anyway, let's continue.
you know, she was absolutely 100% right. What more evidence do you need when they already have us? In order to purchase things, we have to present a vaccine card. Eventually it's going to be if you want to travel, if you want to fly. You know, this is all a precursor to the mass genocide of the American people.
Oh, okay, wow. We jumped from getting on an airplane to mass genocide. That was kind of a big leap. I don't know how we got there. But I actually live in New York City, and there's a vaccine mandate here. You have to be vaccinated if you want to eat out or go inside anywhere, basically. You have to be vaccinated. And I am vaccinated, and I have my card with me. I've lived here for 7 months now, I think, maybe. I have not one single time ever been asked for my vaccine card, even though there's a vaccine mandate. They've never asked for my papers on this. And I think the reason is because I'm not acting like a fool, going out and getting into shenaniganery all willy-nilly, just doing whatever the fuck I want, not giving a shit about other people or how it could affect them. I think that's maybe why I haven't been carded. Because I stay home unless I am working. If I'm working on something, I'll go out. If I need to get groceries, I'll go out. Grocery store has not carded me. If I need to get on a subway train, I do it, and they haven't carded me at the subway station. Land-based travel and grocery stores are still perfectly open to everybody, even in one of the most progressive cities in the country, and one of the earliest ones to create a vaccine mandate within city limits. I have not been carded one time for my vaccine card. Seems pretty obvious to me at this point that it's still just more fear-mongering. They're just trying to freak people out, get them worked up into a blood frenzy, and willing to do anything to change the situation. I mean, that is Lauren Witzke's MO anyways, right? Fear tactics and persecution complex. So there's a new clip just came out mid-October. This is the one that I really wanted to get to. She had some interesting shit to say on this clip. So let's give this one a watch and see what she had to say for herself. Again, remember, she's not on True News anymore. This is her going on programs solo.
Or white straight males are the most persecuted class demographic in the United States of America right now, especially.
Wow, just right out of the gate with that one. White males are the most persecuted demographic in the United States. Is that what she said?
White straight males are the most persecuted class demographic in the United States of America right now.
Once again, the persecution complex in full force. Seriously. She wants to make people feel like they are being held down and hurt badly. Why is this in the back of her head 24/7?
Graphic in the United States of America right now, especially in the workforce. The anti-white system that advocates for us, like people like us, to not have a voice, to not have any rights, like kind of considering us like second-class citizens that don't deserve rights, is what they kind of try to treat us as. They think that the system, the anti-white system, is going to spare them too, and it is not. This anti-white system, it's coming for all of us.
You know what I find fascinating about this? This is a trend that I've noticed among specific cults and politically. I've seen this happening a lot politically too. When there's a grievance from one side, what the other side will do is they will take that grievance and turn it into something. They will internalize it. The other side will take it for their own. For example, you've got Black Lives Matter complaining about the fact that police are hurting them and mistreating them. Rightfully, they are correct. Police really are doing this shit to them. And people like Lauren Witzke will take that grievance, twist it into the system is rigged against white people. Suddenly, white people have this burning anger, this hurt. I was wronged by a lot of other people. The system is rigged against me. They want to make it all about them. This is not the first time I've seen this happen. Groups do this kind of thing all the time, at least in part because they need to be persecuted. A lot of groups use that persecution complex as a method of building enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is something that can be measured, and it is measured in a lot of presidential elections and things like that. The more enthusiastic a group is about the leader, the more likely they are to donate everything that they have, even if they can't afford it. The more willing they are to go out there and put boots on the ground and knock on doors. I'm not just talking politically. I mean like Jehovah's Witnesses desperately trying to build enthusiasm. And they use a persecution complex to that end. Donald Trump's enthusiasm was way, way higher than Hillary Clinton's enthusiasm in the 2016 election. Most people were like, I don't want Donald Trump, so I guess I'll vote for Hillary Clinton. Very few, proportionally, people desperately wanted Hillary Clinton. Very few. But there were a lot of Republican voters who desperately wanted Trump. Trump's enthusiasm factor was significantly higher than Hillary's. It was completely because of the Electoral College that Trump won in 2016, but that's beside the point. The point is, enthusiasm wins elections. Enthusiasm counts for everything among cults. And you build that enthusiasm by getting people worked into a blood frenzy over how persecuted they are. Let's keep listening.
And it is not. This anti-white system, it's coming for all of us. People are starting to notice more and more that every commercial is trying to push some kind of degeneracy on you, something anti-white on you, if you don't notice.
I don't notice. Please give me more information. I have not seen any of this. Well, first of all, I don't really watch commercials, basically at all. But aside from that, I don't see any ads that are pushing anything anti-white. And I would be the first to call it out. If something is anti-white, it's still racist, right? I don't give a shit. I haven't seen a single example of that.
You, if you don't notice, if you haven't noticed, everybody's starting to notice. It's all part of a giant humiliation ritual. That's what it was when they took down our historical monuments. It was a humiliation ritual. Oh, your heritage, everything you're proud of, we're going to give it away and hand it over to these animals and let them take it, tear it down, vandalize it right in front of you, and we're not going to do anything about it. That's what it is. It's meant to demoralize you as a person.
What? It's meant to demoralize you as a person? Taking down statues? I assume she's talking about the Civil War era statues, many of which were erected between 1910 and 1940, 1950, in an effort to intimidate the black people in those towns into remembering who is in charge. A lot of them were erected for that specific reason. And she's talking about how taking those statues down is demoralizing to white people. Is this even dog whistling anymore? Is she even pretending anymore? She's in here with some dude named NoWhiteGuilt.org. Who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is Jared George? I get the impression that these people are legitimate full-blown neo-Nazis based on the context of this conversation. This is not even a dog whistle anymore at this point. And this person ran for Congress. Will probably run for Congress again. Was a host on Rick Wiles' TV show.
If we find out you're a part of the communist revolution, we're coming after you. All right? I don't care. FBI, put my name down on a list. Go ahead and do it. Do it. I don't care.
Has been on Alex Jones' TV show regularly and is trying to get into Congress. That's concerning.